Hi guys, welcome back. It was nice to have a couple of weeks off, but it's time to get back to business. This week we're going to be talking about a couple of things. I thought I would start this video out by being inside one of my drawings. What I want to go over is how to start a new drawing. And there's a couple ways you can do that. What we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of some of the pre-installed templates that are within Draftsight. And to grab a template or to start a new drawing, one way is to go up here, top left, and click. And you can see we have some options here on the side. I'm going to go ahead and click New. Alright, it's going to ask me to specify which template I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. And you'll notice that right away what's happening is it opens up a drawing, it creates a new drawing, and it's titled no name _1.dwg. And you have an empty model space and 2 empty paper spaces. The first thing you're going to want to do is to save this drawing with a name. So I'm going to go ahead and go to here and click Save As. Now normally I would save it on a thumb drive, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and temporarily save it on my desktop. And I'm going to title this drawing Week 3. And make sure you click Save. And you'll notice that the drawing has gone from no name to the name that I just gave it. Now the purpose of templates is these templates will have certain styles already applied to it, so you don't need to constantly preset your dimension styles and your text style. It's already done for you. And let me give you a good example of this. If you hover over here, this button here creates and modifies your text style. The one below it is dimension style. Go ahead and click on that. Alright, there's a lot going on here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the plus sign under angular dimension. And this is giving you all the options that are available within this drafting style, this template. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And I'm going to go to the most common one that you'll be using in your drawing. And that's going to be right here under linear dimension. Okay. There's a few different formats that we could go with. By default, it's giving you a decimal. Click on this down arrow, and you'll notice there's a few different styles that we can work with here. I guess it depends on what kind of drafting that you're going to be using. If you're going to be drawing buildings or houses, you would want to use the architectural. If you're drawing mechanical parts for a dishwasher or a car or even your computer, you're going to want to use the decimal. If you're drawing like a set of kitchen cabinets or just any piece of furniture or something small that anybody can create in a workshop environment, you would use the fractional. The fractional and architectural are similar to each other, but there is a minor difference. Notice that when you select a style, you get a little preview here. I know it's hard to see, but if you can kind of see how the dimensions are going to look. It's architectural, that's fractional. The big difference between architectural and fractional is they look the same up to 12 inches. When you go beyond 11 and 15/16 of an inch, and once you go beyond the 12 inch, with architectural it starts breaking it down into feet and inches. Where in fractional it's going to tell you how many inches overall your dimension is. And I'm gonna show you a good example of that. I'm gonna go with fractional with a precision of 1/8 of an inch. When you're done with this, you click apply first, and then you click OK. And then the menu box disappears. So let's go ahead and draw some stuff here. I'm just going to draw a three-sided shape. Make sure your snap is turned on, because you want these two lines to connect. When you're done, hit escape. And now I'm going to dimension. This little guy right here is where you get your dimensions from. By default, the option is called Smart Dimension. This is really cool. All you have to do is click on that line segment, and you're going to notice something happening here. It didn't give us the type of dimension that we wanted. We wanted a dimension of how long this line is. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. So that didn't work out for me. So click on this little down arrow, and all your different dimensioning options come up. When you're dimensioning a line that is not straight up and down or straight left and right, you need to use this dimensioning option, parallel. You click on the start of the line and then the end of the line. And now we have a dimension that is perfectly in line with that line. I'm going to repeat this command and dimension all three sides of this triangle. Okay. This side is 11 1/8. This side is 19 3/8. And this side is 14 3/4. So we have one side that's less than 12 inches, two sides that's greater than 12 inches. Now let's go back and change that dimensioning style. Remember how we had it set on fractional? I'm going to go ahead and switch to architectural. Remember, click apply, and then OK. See the difference? Now it's showing you, instead of 19 3/8, it's showing 1 foot 7 3/8. You're probably sitting there wondering why. Well, architects, when they're designing large buildings, they're more interested in the footage, how many feet long this particular wall is. They're not really interested in inches. I guess it's when they need to calculate square footage, they round to the nearest foot and then go from there. I'm noticing here that my dimension is, for this particular line, it's not starting in the right spot. This one is. If you're not really sure, go ahead and click on the line here, and you can tell it's starting right at that point. Go back to here, click on it, and you can see, wow, it's not even touching the line. It actually clicked on to the other dimension. There's an easy way to fix that. Take your mouse and left click right on this is called a grip. Click on the grip and then attach it to your line. And it will adjust your dimension. And obviously it wasn't that far off. It didn't change because we set our precision to the nearest 1/8. And you'll notice that everything is the same color. There's a way to fix that too. Go back to dimension style. And we're going to start going through our options here. So as you can see, there are a lot of options here. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm going to go to my layers bar. Where are you? Right here. This is my layers panel. Right now this drawing only has 2 layers. By default, when you start a new Draftsight drawing within the pre-installed templates, that's what you pretty much get. Those 2 layers there. So I don't like the fact that my dimension is the same color as my lines. And here's how we're going to fix that. Find the layer manager button, which is right above our layer selector. Click on that. Okay, it's showing us all the different layers that we have. So we're going to create a new layer just for our dimensions that we just created. So you click on new and give it a name, and we're just going to name it dim 1. There's a lot of options that we can do here. What I want to do is I want to change the color of the dimension. Let's go with green. This panel here, you can control your line style. Right now, the only option we have is continuous line. We're just going to, for now, just for today's lesson, we're going to stay with continuous. So we have a new layer called dim 1, and the line, and anything that's created within this layer is going to be that color. I'm going to click OK. Okay, so I want to change this from the layer that is currently on to my dim 1 layer. If you're not sure what layer something is, just click on it. It'll tell you up here what layer it's on. But if I want to change it while it's still highlighted, click on the down arrow and select dim 1. Hit escape. Now you'll notice that the dimension, all the elements of that dimension is a different color than the line itself. So I'm going to click on the other 2 dimensions and switch them over to the dim 1 layer. Oh, by the way, as you are working, don't forget, save and save often. And there are a few ways to do that. Just simply click on this guy here, click save. Or you can hit Control S. So you're probably wondering, why do we put things on layers? Well, What if I want to show somebody this part here that I just created? And they really don't need to see the dimension at this point. Let's say I want to hide the dimensions temporarily. Click on that green button. So our dimensions were not erased. They're still there. They're just hidden from the current view. And to turn it back on, just simply so let's go back to templates here. Let's create a new drawing again. Okay. Again, we're using the same default template that's already pre-installed in the software. And now it's only back to one layer. The purpose of this week's lesson is to teach you how to create your own drawing template, which you can use every time you create a drawing, depending on what your needs are. I personally have a template that I've been using, and it's located on my thumb drive. Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and close this one. So this is my own personal drawing template that I've been using with Draftsight for a number of years, and it already has quite a few layers on it. So whenever I create a new drawing, I just simply open this drawing and rename it to whatever I want it to be. Let's check and see what the dimension style there. And as you can see, it's set for fractional with a precision of 1/16. I don't have to go through these settings every time I start a drawing because I'm using a pre-existing template. I'll be sending you guys an email this week with this template, and you can feel free to play around with it. My suggestion for you is when you open it, do a save as. Save it as a drawing. Save it as with your own name. You can say Bobby's template or Ian's template, whatever, and just constantly use that template. I would encourage you to try the other templates that are pre-installed. You'll notice there's some differences. Let's see what this one looks like. Okay, it doesn't look much different. See what the dimension styles are. It's not a whole lot different. Speaking of decimal, when you're drafting, it's a very good idea to have a good understanding of the decimal system. When you're drawing a line, Draftsight is asking you for the next point. Every single point on the screen has a relationship relative to the origin. The origin would be 0, 0, or the first point of your line. Now let's say if I want a line that's 1.5 inches long. Let's see how that worked out. That didn't work out so well. Let's try this again. You'll notice here that I'm using the decimal system to indicate that I want a line 1.5 inches long. There, my line is 1.5 inches long. I'm going to find a chart and I will save it as a PDF, and I'll be emailing you guys with this chart. It'll help you memorize your basic decimal equivalents: 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, and so on. It's a good idea to memorize it. I have it memorized down to the 32nds of an inch, but primarily in my line of work, it's down to the 16th. I'm going to close this drawing. I'll close this one too. I'm going to save this one. And I'm going to go back into this drawing that I started this video out. This is an actual drawing that I'm working on. As you can see, I have a textile already preset for my dimension. Let's see how many layers we have. I have quite a few. You'll notice that I have different layers for different dimensions. I'll get into that into a future lesson. Right now my layers are in dim 3. How do I know that? Click on it. Click on a dimension. And this layer manager toolbar will tell you what layer it's on. I'll do it again. Watch this area here. It's telling me that it's in dim 3. Right now, this is telling you that everything that you create within this space here is going to be on this layer. And the color of these lines are going to be white. I'm in this layer. I'm in this layer now called wall. I'm going to draw a line real quick. Notice the color is different. Colors are sometimes used to help the person doing the drawing what exactly that part is. Because sometimes when you're drawing and everything's the same color, things can get a little confusing. When I look at this, I'm looking at a cabinet with a top, with a face frame going around the face with 2 doors. I don't know if you guys are seeing that. Here's a view of the exact same cabinet, but with the doors removed. You'll notice my shelves are on a different layer than everything else. Again, just click on anything, and it tells you what layer it's on. By the way, when I started this drawing, here's the template that I used. Again, this drawing looks just like the other ones that we were looking at. And it's only got a few items on it. I don't use this template very often. So again, here are the 2 ways that you start a drawing. Go here, and you can click New. and select one of the pre-installed templates within Draftsight. You just select which one you want to use and hit open. The other way to do it is to actually open a pre-saved template that you already created. And again, that is the lesson for this week. Look for the email that I'll be sending, which will include a drawing template for you to use. And I encourage you to make some changes, maybe add some additional layers. Remember, to add a layer, you click on this Layer Manager button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.